You think you've seen everything in the lands between. Every cliff, every catacomb, every freak with way too many arms. But there's a place From Software never lets you reach. A kingdom erased so completely. The only survivors are the animations. Yeah, today we're diving into the Forbidden Kingdom. Not in item descriptions, not in cut content, but in the bodies of your enemies. And once you notice the signs, you'll wonder how you ever missed it. Let us start with the obvious. Some Elden Ring enemies move like they've trained under the same martial art. But here's the thing. These groups aren't related. They don't share factions. They don't even share regions. Take the skeletal warriors in the catacombs. Everyone just shrugs and says, skeletons exist, fair enough. But their sword forms are too clean, too disciplined. This isn't just some shambling undead nonsense, this is military drilling. Now look at the cloaked assassins near the Altus Plateau. Watch closely. The stance, the footwork, the angle of the wrist before they strike, it's identical to the skeleton swordsman. So why would two completely different enemy types share the exact same combat language? Simple. They're descendants of the same culture. A culture that's gone. Lore nerds talk endlessly about the Eternal Cities, Farum Azula, the Crucible Age. But almost no one mentions this missing civilization, because it's never named. There are no ruins, no map fragments, no boss shouting its name while throwing fire at your face. What we do have are the leftovers, in the animations of enemies scattered across the world like shrapnel from a kingdom that was blown off the timeline. This lost culture used strict, almost ritualistic blade forms, a heavy emphasis on low stances, synchronized shield angles, and a very specific dodge pivot. This pivot is the giveaway. It's a backwards angled sidestep with a micropause at the end. Only a few enemies use it, and none of them are connected, unless you assume they're all inheriting the same extinct training. That technique didn't appear by accident. FromSoft doesn't accidentally give the same micro-animation to for unrelated enemies. They're telling us something. So what happened to this kingdom? Clues point to a pre-Golden Order military empire, an empire obsessed with perfect martial form. Perfection to the point of ritual, perfection to the point of self-destructs. And their fall? You can piece it together if you follow the territories where their animation DNA survives. Their techniques appear near catacombs twisted with death magic, abandoned war fronts, and regions overrun by undeath or rot. That's not a coincidence. This civilization didn't fall to war. They fell to corruption, a slow rot. Something ancient enough to erase them before Marika even existed. My bet, they opposed one of the outer gods. They lost, and everything they built was wiped off the table, except for the soldiers who didn't die properly. The ones who refused to stay dead. The ones whose sword forms are now performed by skeletons repeating drills from a kingdom that doesn't exist. But there's more. Some enemies are animation cocktails, mutations of this lost culture style mixed with other influences. Look at the Banished Knights. Their opening sweep, pure Forbidden Kingdom form. But their follow-ups are Golden Order discipline, a fusion. This means the Golden Order either absorbed survivors or conquered the ashes of the old nation and repurposed their training. Then there are the Grave Wardens. Brutal, heavy, but their recovery posture the exact resting stance from the same lost school. These guys are like corrupted museum exhibits, showcasing fragments of a dead art form. This is classic Miyazaki mischief, hiding world building where only the obsessive will look. Not in dialogue, not in flashy cutscenes, but in the way a corpse soldier pivots before slicing your throat. Because animation survives when kingdoms don't. Technique outlives culture. And in a world defined by decay, the movements of the dead become the only history that can't be censored. It's almost poetic, in a depressing, From Software kind of way. So next time you're fighting your way through some forgotten corridor, and a skeleton suddenly hits you with a stance cleaner than your Elden Ring rank. Remember this. You're not just fighting undead. You're fighting the last echoes of a kingdom buried so deep that only their muscle memory remains. A forbidden land that exists nowhere on the map, but everywhere in their animations. And maybe, just maybe, FromSoft never meant for us to find it, but they left the truth in motion for anyone willing to watch closely enough. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the worlds we love. See you next time.